Good morning, Professor. My name is Giancarlo, and I will be doing my video essay on the short story of Family Supper. Please excuse the XSplit VCam logo. Uh, it it is the source I use for my video webcam, so that I can manage the quality and all that. So please excuse me, but I was trying to do this with the best video quality I have, and that is with my webcam. So yeah. So this short story was written in 1982 by Katsuo Ishiguro. I'm sorry if I butchered the name. And it narrates the family dinner that happens for the first time in years. This is a very mature story containing themes about grief, about pain, about sadness, about loss, and among other really mature themes. So the story begins with our protagonist, whom serves also as the narrator for this story. So this story is a first-person story. Our main character, the son, whose name is not revealed in the story, is the narrator. So it is a first-person story. So our narrator starts explaining that he lived abroad in California for years, but he decides to come back to Tokyo, to his childhood home, and live with his dad for a while. After this, we are introduced to Kikuko, which is the eldest sister of the family, and this helps us establish the family dynamic that is present throughout all the story. And it is one that is not really a perfect one at all. No family dynamic is perfect as it is, but in this specific story, we are shown that this is a really dysfunctional family. After Kikuko's introduction, we have a scene where the father starts explaining that his law firm has broken apart and that Watanabe, a former co-worker of his, committed suicide. So the father's startling delivery of this very sad news helps establish the tone of the story, which is one that is very dark and brooding. You know, after hearing the news about someone that committed suicide, someone that actually worked with you, you'd expect to be a little bit shaken up or at least sad. But the father's tone and delivery of the news is one that is very serious and tone deaf. You don't really know what his true feelings are, and you start to think that maybe he doesn't feel nothing at all. Father's startling delivery of the news gives us an insight about who he is as a character and how he's feeling throughout the story. And this shows us that the father is a very cold and distant person that ever since his wife passed away, the mother of our two protagonists, Kikuko and the narrator, he hasn't really grasped a way to move on and lives in this kind of gray area where he has not moved on, but he feels like he has, and but he's still trying to grasp on what little remains of that early life he had with all of his family living together in the home. So there are a lot of hints in the story that give us an insight into how the family was brought up, and that it was probably a very cold and harsh environment for them growing up. This is brought up because the story gives us a lot of exposition as to how the house is decorated. It has a lot of home decor, has a lot of furniture, has a lot of wall paintings. So the house itself is decorated and it is packed. It is packed with decorations. But our narrator, after taking a home tour of his childhood home after what seems forever, he starts to describe the house as feeling as a bit empty, maybe being a callback to how they were treated when they were growing up. So the story's atmosphere is one that is described as being very brooding and mysterious. This, mixed with the themes of grief and death, make up for a very unsettling and somber tone throughout the story. Kazuo Ishiguro uses a lot of exposition in the story as a tool for you, the reader, to come up with a lot of conclusions in your head. And it is basically a way to subvert your expectations, so that you really aren't prepared for the climax and this involving of the story. For example, there's a bit of exposition at the start of the story about a poisonous fish, and in the climax of the story, the father feeds fish to the children as the main course. So the exposition the established nature of the story, the established nature of the father, and just the overall tone of the story leaves you wondering, wait, is the father actually going to kill his children? And did the father actually kill his co-worker? Did the father kill the mother of the children? These are questions that are left up in the air, but these are the true intentions of Kazuo for the story. This is a masterful way to wrap up the story, and basically a very excellent way to convey the unsettling nature of the father, and really leave you wondering, did he kill his children? Did he kill his wife? It's a very, very smart way to subvert your expectations, and one that I'm a very big fan of. So after the story ends, you're left with a feeling of what just happened. And I think that is the intention that Kazuo wrote the story with. He wanted you to think about what you just read. He wanted you to really analyze what is death, what is grief, what is depression, what is mental illness, what is being alone. He wanted you to think, whoa, maybe I should really get my relationship with my father back on track. I should really get my relationship with my mother back on track. Because you never know when a person might snap. You never know when a person had a bad day and that was it for them. And this being written in 1982 is a very timely story. That being that depression is a really, really current theme in today's society. And I think it's a very good way to highlight how the human mind could react to death, how it could react to real life problems. And these are things that happen. These are things that we as humans need to understand are real. And I think that was the main intention of the story. He wanted you to acknowledge these type of things. Personally, it was one of my favorite stories that I read throughout the whole semester. Maybe because of the themes and that it serves as kind of a, hey, this is real. What you're reading can happen. People kill people. People get sad. People are depressed. And I think it's a very smart way to bring light to that.